Hello, my dear aspirants. Welcome to Clarity for Show. Today, in this session, we will try to understand each and everything regarding the Fiscal Health Index. It is a financial health, basically. It's the financial health of the state, right? And this Fiscal Health Index, FHI, is published by Niti Aayog. Okay, and this index becomes very important for your various regulatory examination, including RBI, NABARD, IRDA, as well as other banking or SSC examinations. Right. So you need to understand the ranking of the various states, which are the states who are top gainers, top achievers, right? And which are those states which are not performing well, and the various indices over which these indexes this fiscal health index is being measured on, right? So each and everything we will uh, talk about FHI published by Niti Aayog in this session. So this index published in the month of January, and it is for the financial year 2023. All right. So financial year 2023 means 22-23. So this index has been published in the month in 2025, and it is for financial year 23. Now, coming to the next slide, let's try to understand about the Fiscal Health Index 2025. What it is all about. So, Niti Aayog launched this Fiscal Health Index 20 to evaluate the fiscal condition of Indian states. To evaluate what? Financial condition, fiscal conditions of Indian states, and to promote data-driven reforms for sustainable and resilient growth. Of what? Resilient growth of particular states which are not performing well. So the financial health of that states is being reflected through this index published by Niti Aayog. The report provides a comparative analysis to guide sub-national fiscal management and support better policy making at a state level. An annual publication, it covers 18 major Indian states, excluding the special category states as well as Himalayan states. So these two categories were not included. So this is the exception. So you need to remember that special category states as well as Himalayan states were not covered in this FHI 2025. All right. Now this index is based upon the audited data of CAG for financial year 22-23, that is FY23. All right. So what is the objective behind this? So if Niti Aayog is publishing this FHI Fiscal Health Index, then there must be some objective behind this. So these are some of the objectives that why this index need to be published by Niti Aayog. Okay, by Niti Aayog, which is a federal body, right? A federal think tank body that decides regarding the Indian Federation, like center and state, how they should work cordially in order to achieve some certain target with respect to economic growth. Right. So the objective of Fiscal Health Index is to offer a standardized comparative evaluation of fiscal performance across the states, to identify fiscal strength and weaknesses of the state level governance. What is the strength as well as weaknesses at state level in their governance part, to promote the fiscal transparency, fiscal accountability and prudence, and to support the evidence-based policy reforms for fiscal resilience and sustainability. So evidence-based policy reforms, if any particular state is performing very well, suppose Odisha is performing very well and suppose Bihar is not performing well. So on the basis of case study or on the basis of the study over the Odisha state, this Niti Aayog can suggest that these things need to be implemented in the low performing states so that they can also perform better, right? So evidence based policy reforms support is being provided. So these are some of the objectives of Fiscal Health Index. Now coming to the next slide, that what are the methodology and structure with respect to this FHI, right? So the index is based on composite fiscal score derived from 5 major sub-indices. Fiscal score derived from 5 major sub-indices and 9 minor sub-indices. So I want each and everyone to write down in the comment section that at least you need to aware about the major sub-indices over which this FHI is actually determined, right? So I'm telling you some of the sub indices and whatever I will not tell you, going to tell you three major sub indices. You need to write the another two major sub indices in the comment section. Three major sub indices are: the first one is quality of expenditure, quality of expenditure, where that state is actually uh, expending. So what is the quality? Whether that expenditure is generating revenue or not. So whether that expenditure is totally for social welfare schemes, or whether that expenditure is for revenue generation purpose, right? So quality of expenditure. Second one is revenue mobilization. Mobilization, that what are the sources that state is erupting in order to mobilize the revenue. All right. Third one is fiscal fiscal prudence. Fiscal prudence. And these are the three that I'm going to tell you in this lecture. And now I want each and everyone who are going through this lecture to write down the other two major sub indices that I'm talking about regarding the FHI in the comment section. All right. Now, on the basis of these sub indices, Niti Aayog classifies the states into four performance categories. Means the states whose scores are above 50. It actually range from 0 to 100. All right. So the state which performs, which achieve the score more than 50 were called as achiever states, right? And the score which perform between 40 to 50 are called front runner. The states which perform somewhere between 25 to 40, they are called performers. However, the states having the score of less than 25, the score of what? The score of index, right? Less than 25s are called aspirational states. All right. So in the achiever states, we can see Odisha is the first one. Odisha is the first one. So the top performer state is Odisha. The second top performer is Chhattisgarh, and Goa is the third top performer. So I want each and everyone to remember at least the three top performer state: Odisha, then Chhattisgarh, then Goa. All right, these are the three top performer states with respect to Fiscal Health Index published by Niti Aayog. And the lowest, the worst performer state are Punjab. At least the last state you need to remember, the Punjab is the worst performing states. All right. So this you can take the screenshot of this slide as well in order to refer it further. All right. So coming to the next slide, key indicators that are accessed. The first one, revenue generation, that I'm talking about. Revenue generation. All right. And mobilization, that is the own tax receipt from where the revenue is being generated. Tax buoyancy, non-tax revenue of that particular state. Second one, expenditure management and prioritization. That how the expenditure is being managed, whether a spending is towards the capital expenditure or revenue expenditure, but the efficiency of that expenditure, and what are the fiscal disciplines is being followed, that whether the timely payment receiving is not, or the completion of project is there, the support for completion of project is there. So whether the fiscal discipline is being followed while implementing that expenditure management or not, whether the project over which the state is financing, whether it is kept at priority level or it is not kept under the priority part, right? Then the third one is debt management, debt to GDP ratio, GSDP ratio, gross state domestic product ratio. So what is the debt of that state and what is the state GDP of that state? This is being analyzed for debt management. Interest burden, that is the interest over the state. If that particular state, if Odisha has taken some sort of loan from any international agency like World Bank, then how much interest it is going to pay? So what is the interest burden over that state? Over that also this fiscal, because it's a fiscal health, means financial health, actually financial health of that state. So it will look in and around each and everything related to the financial and what is the repayment capability of that particular state. All right. Fiscal deficit management, fiscal deficit as percentage of GSDP and statutory compliances. So deficit management. If that particular state is under the deficit, then how it is going to manage? Deficit means what? Deficit means the difference between expenditure and revenue. Revenue. If it is very large, right? If it is positive, basically it is revenue minus expenditure, you can say. And if it is a negative figure, it means there is a deficit, right? And if it is positive, means there is a surplus. All right. So if the expenditure is more than the revenue, means the source of revenue, the source of generation of money is less in comparison to the source of expenditure of money through that state, then it is that state is in deficit. So how the state is, whether the state is capable to manage its deficit or not, that is also being calculated while calculating the FHI. It is also being considered, right? Then overall fiscal sustainability, that is aggregate revenue of revenue expenditure, review of revenue expenditure deficit as well as debt indicators. So these are the key indicators that are accessed in order to score different states on the basis of their fiscal health. All right. Now, coming to the next slide, key findings of the FHI 2025 that we have already talked. Odisha ranked first with score 67.8, excelling in two parts like debt index as well as debt sustainability. However, Chhattisgarh scores somewhere like 55.2, and Goa, the third position, the third ranker is 53.6. No need to remember these figures. Just remember for Odisha, 67.8 is the score for Odisha, and it is the top performing state, the achiever state. Non-tax revenue leaders like Odisha, Jharkhand, these are generate over 21% of total revenue from non-tax sources such as mining royalties, because we have seen these are the reasons. Jharkhand, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, these are the reason of Chota Nagpur Plateau. So lots of mining activities like iron ore reserve we can see here, coal reserve we can see here. Okay, so these reserves are there, so they are generating revenues through mining, through royalties and coal auctionings, right? So these are non-tax sources from where they are generating revenue. All right. Now, see here in this diagram also you can find that the score heat map, the aspirational districts is rated, that is Punjab. It is Punjab. The list is having the least score. However, this is Chhattisgarh. Sorry, this is Odisha. Right? The top performing state, Odisha. Right? This is Jharkhand. This is Chhattisgarh. This is Bihar. So you can see through this also that Punjab, the least performer, and Odisha is the top performer in FHI index. Now, coming to the next slide, key findings we have seen again the same thing, that Odisha's top performer. Okay, in the quality of expenditure, it is scored 52. In the revenue mobilization, it is scored somewhere 70%. Fiscal prudence 54%. Debt index 99%, and debt sustainability 64%. All right, no need to remember the percentage, just remember the FHI score, that is 67.8. All right, states like Madhya Pradesh, Odisha, Goa, Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh allocated around 27% of developmental spendings to capital investments, to like infrastructure projects that is going to generate revenue in longer term, in after some certain amount of time. So they nearly allocated 27% of the spending in long-term projects, infrastructure. However, West Bengal, Andhra Pradesh, Punjab, Rajasthan spend only 10%, showing a weak capital prioritization. Means they are not prioritizing their capital towards the infrastructure or long-term projects, right? West Bengal and Punjab faces high debt to GSDP ratio, means their debt to GSDP ratio is very high, means their debt burden is high in respect of the state gross domestic product. All right, so it is high. So somewhere that's why only they are lagging behind. See here Punjab, see here West Bengal. All right. Now, Punjab, Andhra Pradesh, West Bengal, and Kerala are marked as aspirational districts due to high fiscal deficits, low expenditure quality. Expenditure quality means they are not putting a huge amount of expenditure for in terms of in capital expenditure form, means in generating the long-term long-term projects like infrastructure, real estate, right? And obviously the poor debt management. The debt management is very poor for these states, therefore they are lying in the aspirational categories. All right. Now, coming to the next slide, the key fiscal concepts that we have discussed in this slide. The first one is tax buoyancy, which is actually defined as measures how tax revenues grow relatively to the economic growth. So it measures that how the revenue actually increasing. The tax revenue means whether it is income tax or GST, means direct tax or or uh, non indirect tax. So what is the revenue? How it is how it is growing relatively with the economic growth. That is tax buoyancy. Debt to GDP ratio that we have talked about, it reflects the state debt burden and the repayment capability of that particular state. That whether the state is capable to repay the burden or not. All right. Now, significance of FHI, the importance of FHI is to encourage the competitive federalism. Competitive federalism is a very key word. Okay, you can use this word in your answers. Competitive federalism means if federalism should be built in such a way that each and every states would compete with each other, that I have to achieve more, I have to achieve more, I have to perform more by benchmarking the fiscal performance. So there should be a competition type of scenario between the states, and it should work with competitive federalism ethos, right? Enhance the transparency and accountability in public finance, supporting informed policy makings through data-driven insights. If you have a proper data of that particular state, the fiscal health, fiscal management regarding the financial condition of that is, then only you can make a proper policies. And then that if you implement those policies at grassroots level, it will become effective. So for that, you need to have a clear cut picture of your financial condition, right? Financial condition or health. That what is the source of revenue, how much you are expending, then only you can formulate a good, or you can say inclusive policies for your people, and you can effectively your bureaucracy, who is going to implement bureaucracy, your bureaucracy can effectively implement those policies at ground level, at grassroots level. All right. And obviously it is going to strengthen the cooperative federalism between the states by promoting the adoption of best fiscal practice. If Odisha is performing very well in terms of debt prudence, then Punjab can adopt that fiscal practices that Odisha is like implementing in its state. All right. So a cooperative type of federalism can be built up through this FHI report published by Niti Aayog. Now, the last portion of the series, that is a question that I used to give in each and every series. The question, it says, which of the following statement correctly describes a key finding or features of Fiscal Health Index 2025 released by Niti Aayog? There are 5 options. You need to answer me the correct option. Just write A, B, C, D or E. Whatever you find the correct in the comment section. I will definitely wait for your answers. So that's all for today, my dear students. And at last, I'm here to show you that RBI mentorship and test series for 2025 is being going by Clarity for SEO. And in this mentorship and test series program, we provide you complete coverage of phase 1 till interview. Phase 1 till interview, we will provide you complete guidance. Each and every section of your syllabus of finance, management, ESI, okay, would be covered holistically, and PDF notes will be provided to you. Then we have weekly current affairs analysis session in this series. Okay, and here we used to discuss the important financial as well as RBI circular or reports in these weekly sessions in reference of various newspaper, and generally 6 to 7 financial daily newspapers are being referred for this weekly current affair analysis session. and the price of the course is 2499. So that's all for today, my dear students. Thank you very much. See you soon. Bye bye. Take care.